traditions in the great outdoors.
Welcome to Ozark Traditions TV podcast, a place where outdoor topics are discussed. Now sit back as today's host brings you the outdoors inside.
Ozark traditions in the great outdoors.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Ozark Traditions TV podcast. I'm TJ. I'm here with Justin and Matt, even though he's silent. But today, we've got somebody on here who has done something that's near and dear to me and Matt's heart. He caught the new state record paddlefish. Jim Dain's here on the horn with us. And Jim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing incredibly well, and you?
Oh, we're still grinding away. We haven't caught no 100-pounders yet, but
no new Missouri state record fish.
Right?
No, not today, anyways.
So
not today.
Right. So anybody listening here in Missouri, we have a paddlefish season that runs March 15th through April 30th, and these things are. If anybody doesn't know what a paddlefish is, or a lot of people call them spoonbill, they're
dinosaurs.
Dinosaur. I mean, they're 100 years old, million-year-old fish. They can get up to 100 years old. Obviously, they can get well over 100 pounds because we're fixing to talk about one. But they're just an incredible fish. Just to see them, just to see one. If you've never done this, guys, we've took a lot of people that's done it for the first time, and they're always amazed. And when you you catch one of these fish, a keeper-sized fish, me and Matt they got to be 34 inches from their eye to the fork of the tail. We assume about a 30 to 35-pound fish is a keeper fish, guys. If they're no bigger than that, you have to throw them back, and that's a 30-pound fish. So you got to throw a 25-pound fish back. So it's incredible on just how big these things get. I'm just going to give you guys a little rundown about him before we talk to Jim here, because I am very anxious to hear his story on how this went. Because we were talking just before we started this, me and Matt have caught hundreds of these things and never broke the 100-pound mark. Gotten close, just never quite got over it. And Jim caught one that was just a hair over it. So we'll talk to him about it. So Jim, first of all, what kind of got you into snagging? I mean, somebody down here do you guys have a house down here? Just come down here every year? I mean, what got you into it?
Well, my father-in-law, he raises cattle. He's got a little cow-calf operation, and he feeds them out. So he's a pretty busy guy. And once a year, he and some of his buddies from Vandalia, Missouri, have gone down there for years, and they're always talking about it. My son just turned 12 on the 4th of July last year, and he figured that, so Kevin, my father-in-law, figured that Jimmy's old enough to go, so now we get invited. And so we've gone down, Jimmy and I have gone down for 2 years now, along with my brother-in-law, Tyler, and his son, Liam, and the guy who owns the boat's kind of a cousin, so it's of Kevin's. It's sort of a family deal. And so I just, I'd always wanted to go, but, I run a church camp, and I preach in a church, and I help him on his farm. And, I don't get a lot of time to go do the things that are fun at this stage in my life. So this was, that's kind of why I went, just be with them. I love the idea of the paddlefish, and actually, I love the way they taste. They're just about my favorite fish to eat.
Us too,
right? And we do. We feel the same way about them, right there.
Yeah, but one thing that kind of turns me off is I get some bones in a fish, and you get it that kind of caught, and you don't have to worry about that with something with a cartinolaginous, I guess is the word.
Yep.
Skeleton,
right?
Mm-hmm. Sounded good to me. I mean,
right? Yeah, I'll buy it.
So anybody listening, if you're wondering what we're talking about, paddlefish don't have bones. They're like a shark. It's all
Correct.
Cartilage.
They're a lot like a shark.
They are really kind of like a fresh. They don't look like a shark.
I mean, minus the teeth and stuff, but other than that,
yeah, they're a really interesting fish, and they've got a big bill out the front of their face, which a lot of people. There's been rumors that they use that to stir up the mud to eat. That's all not true. It's a sonar. And that's how they look. They find their way through the water. Their eyes are little bitty, guys. These fish are 100 pounds. Their eyes are the size of a bean.
Right. Like a snow pea.
Yeah, it's
They
not very
don't
big.
see their way through the water. They feel their way through the water. And they,
If they want to see what one looks like, they can head over to the Ozark Traditions TV page. And we got several posted over there.
Yeah, there's
Yes,
even
I
one.
did see that.
There's even one of Justin Hampton holding one up, I believe.
right. And we're going to have a video coming on the web series of our trip that we took just last weekend. But anyways, we need to get back to the meat and potatoes because Jim is on here because he caught the new state record Missouri State record paddlefish. And it was 140 pounds and 12 ounces, right?
10 ounces.
10.
10 ounces. So the last record was 140 and 9
9
ounces.
Which Jim, I personally like to thank you because we had the state record here at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yep.
Some guy down at Table Rock thought they had bigger fish, caught one. So now it's back at Lake of the
Jim's
Ozarks.
got it back
That's
at
right.
Lake of the Ozarks. So
Where it should be.
we're proud of that, you know.
Yeah, that's funny because Corporal Brown, the guy who came to do the to witness the weigh-in, he said the same thing. He said, "I'm just glad that the record's back here at Lake of the Ozarks."
Absolutely.
Well, we've got a lot of really big fish on Lake of the Ozarks. Like, I know me and Matt have caught multiple 75, 80-pound fish out of Lake of the Ozarks. And, you know, we just haven't quite got to that 100-pound mark. But, you know, our average fish, which me and Matt live up here on the Niangua Arm, the big Niangua Arm, up around here is around 50, 55 pounds. I mean, we can catch them pretty regularly that big. And we fished up in the Osage River quite a bit, and you'll catch a lot of fish up there. But to find them real big ones, it's kind of tough. Now, they catch big ones up there. Don't get me wrong.
Cody does.
Right. Cody Van Etten, he'll catch a big one up there. But it seems like a lot of the real big, we call them sow pigs, kind of live in that big water.
In the main lake.
In the main lake. So, Jim, now I'm not asking for a mile marker. I'm not asking for a land point. What arm of Lake of the Ozarks did you catch your fish in?
So we were kind of near Camdenton and Laurie,
Yeah.
sort of in that area.
Yep.
There you go.
Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I saw a scale. Was it at the butcher shop with Chris?
It was at the butcher shop. Yeah.
And it said 141 pounds
Right.
by my eyeballs.
Yeah. Yeah.
So was Chris's scale not certified then or something?
Right. His Chris scale wasn't certified, and actually, when we first put it up there, it was 143. But you get them out of the water, and they start dehydrating.
Right. So it was really 143. That's what we're going
That's
with.
what I'm saying.
That's
They
going to be
short
It gets
changed
bigger
it.
every time
Well,
I sell
because
it.
we figure if we do that, then nobody's going to beat it.
right.
Unless me and Matt found
Well, I
one,
mean,
then it'd be
maybe
fine.
maybe tomorrow or the next day we'll get
Yeah,
one.
I don't know, buddy. It's not looking good. We've caught how many of them now?
Oh, lots.
But
So Jim, how was the fight?
Yeah, well, it's amazing. Honestly, so the day before, I'd caught like a 46-pounder. That was the big one. And that was great, too. You just get excited when you hook into these. And I guess you never really know exactly how big they are. But I literally, at one point, thought I was pulling a tree off the ground.
yeah.
Yeah.
I said that same thing. I was like, I'm not sure this is a fish. But then it hit the end of that line, and I'm like, oh no, it's there. So
I couldn't tell you how many times we've taken people and they'll hook a fish and they'll swear to God, I'm hung up on the bottom, or it's just a log. It's just a log. Guys, these things, it just depends.
Well, it's just like keep cranking because the log's coming to you.
Right.
yes,
If you tail hook a 35-pound spoonbill, if you've never caught one before, you'll swear to God it's a 100-pound blue marlin because they can be just as wild as anything in the world. And then if you side hook an 80-pound fish, it'll just drag in sometimes, just dead weight.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
You don't never know what you got until it pops up right there by the boat. And that's what I love about it because people are reeling in. They're like, oh, I think it's a big one. We had a guy the other day, and he was just fighting this thing like
It was Brad.
Yeah.
We can say it. Brad Witt.
Witt. He was fighting this thing like it was the net 142 pounds.
I believe it was not one but two. Oh boys.
Yeah, and he got this thing up here, guys, and the entire fish, from the end of its bill to its tail, was probably 2.5 foot long. I mean, it was a little bitty thing. And I was like, now, wait a minute. And he's like, I can't believe it's that big. I was like, man, I don't. And then, he caught a nice fish. And he's like, well, I think it's another little one. Well, we get it up there, and it's probably a 40, mid-40s.
Yeah, good fish.
So Jim, was you guys doing it the old-fashioned way, jerking rods, or you caught up with the fad of trolling and pulling the divers and stuff?
Yeah, we were using the Dipsy divers,
Yeah. It's kind of the new
trolling.
thing. Yeah, that's the new. Well, first of all, when you get off the water, you can get up and go to work the next day and still be able to pick your arms up.
Right.
That's right.
Because, guys, I mean, me and Matt obviously are doing the trolling thing too, but we grew up doing this. And back in just 5-6 years ago, the whole trolling thing really hadn't took off. We were still jerking the pole. We called them broomsticks. I mean, you just went out there and you drug the bottom all day and jerking, and we'd catch 5-6 fish a year, and we was like, man, we had a heck of a year this year. And now, like, if me and Matt don't go out and catch our limits with our people that we take, we're just like, it's just like this year's been a struggle, and I think we're up to almost 40 fish, and we've been struggling hard this year to catch them. And but the whole trolling for the fish and all that is really, it's come on pretty hard, and a lot of people are being real successful with it, which is good. But me and Matt also have discussed maybe that, and maybe you'll have a take on this, Jim. I don't know how big you are into the snagging, but maybe they need to do a little bit of regulation changes, because the people are catching the fish at such a high rate now that maybe they need to change something up, because it's no big deal for people to go out and catch their limit in spoonbill anymore. And used to, people didn't do that. It was just you go out there and you caught one and you were happy. So,
right.
But
yeah, that's kind of a tough one, because you don't want to not be able to get your limit, but then you want them to be there.
Right.
And so I'm really grateful to the programs that they've got to get these into the lakes, and I understand that the next couple of years there's going to be some of these that were put in, 2000 or a little bit earlier than that are going to be pretty good size.
Yeah. Yeah, they should be getting to that 20, they're going to be a 20-year-old fish. They should be to that 100-pound or close to it area. And,
but they, oh, no, go ahead.
I just, we and Matt, we love seeing the people out there doing it. I'm not trying to, it's awesome that people are doing it. I just think that maybe they need to, and we've also talked about maybe they just need to increase the stocking rates on the fish. Because, another thing, guys, if you're listening, and these fish they can't naturally spawn successfully in Lake of the Ozarks, because it's dammed off at both ends, and they can't get up.
Or Truman Lake.
Yeah, they can't get up to where they used to be able. See, before Truman and Bagnell Dam, the Osage River was the largest population of paddlefish in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put the Bagnell Dam in and Truman Dam, and it shut off their spawning grounds. So now they can't get up there to spawn. So it was a law set 100 years ago that they have to, stock these fish in the lake to keep the populations up, which they've done a great job with it. I mean, we've got a lot of paddlefish in Lake of the Ozarks, a lot of paddlefish in Truman. But now, guys we're catching them now. I mean, it's a lot of fun, and I think that they're going to have to maybe look into doing something a little different. I've heard guys say outlaw the divers. That doesn't need to happen. None of that. A method I don't feel like should be outlawed.
Right. It's just as technology changes and evolves, your regulations and your stocking rates and things are going to have to change.
And we're kind of taking a left turn on this. We'll get back to that big fish you caught here in just a second. But
no, that's all right. It's
kind of like the live scope with the crappie, if that's the case, because people are catching crappie a lot more than they used to also. So if you're gonna not allow a method, you shouldn't be able to do that either. And I don't think the method needs to change. I think it's just the way they go about the fish. But like I said, we're taking the left. We need to go back right, because I want to hear more about this big old fish. So you said you really like to eat spoonbill. What's your favorite way of cooking them?
Well, so fried. You can't go wrong with fried, I guess. But what I like to do is put them on the grill. Maybe marinate them a little bit. We made some paddlefish tacos the other night, It was sort of a recipe we just got off the internet, smoked paddlefish tacos. The thing is, you can do so many things with it, but I just like them right on my Weber kettle.
Yeah. I smoked some, I believe it was Sunday.
Yeah, we had smoked paddlefish tacos. That was so weird that he brought that up.
Yes, we had the exact same thing.
And they're, guys, you'll hear a lot of people say, oh, them nasty things, these nasty, if they're eating them and they think they're nasty, they probably, because you got to clean these things right.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not get all the fats and the blubbers, what we call it, it's a lot of fat and stuff on these fish, on the fillets. If you don't get all that off, they're very, very fishy, and they're an oily fish. So you need to soak them a little bit. Just make sure you clean them up real good. I know there's a million YouTube videos out there, and maybe we need to make one, kind of help people on cleaning them, because that's the most important part as far as getting a fish that's going to taste the best. And people lose their minds when I clean fish for them, because they're expecting this big old giant slab of fish, and when you get them all cleaned up and get all that out, it's still a big piece of meat, but it's not what they thought. And it's like, well, you got to remember, these fish are mostly head and belly. When you actually cut into one to clean it, it's not as much there as you think there is. I'll just put it that way. But
some people steak them up too. That
we used to do that. I used to do that. I used to cut the head off, cut the backbone, pop it out, and cut them in steaks. And there was nothing wrong with that. It worked out fine. But we've got to the just filleting them off thing now, and it goes a lot faster. The big fillets work really good on the smoker. I know Matt, whenever he smokes his paddlefish, he puts the whole fillet on there. We don't cut it in like little chunks or nothing. We just smoke the whole thing. But there's like Jim said, there's 100 ways to do it, and none of them are bad in my opinion. I mean, they're a good eating fish.
Yeah, they really are. Just the density of the flesh too. It's just kind of a fun thing to cook with.
Yeah, and like anybody listening that hasn't done this, and you're thinking about doing it, if you have questions or want to try to find somebody to take you, go on Ozark Traditions TV Facebook and message us. Me and Matt will steer you the right direction. Either we could take you, or we know 100 people that can take you, or teach you how to, or not even take you. If you've got your own boat and all that, we don't care.
Right, we can give you some tips and stuff
to help people, which
we've got some. I'm pretty sure we've got a paddlefish show floating around on the YouTubes.
We've already got one on there. We're gonna have a new one though. It's coming up. We had to get Justin Hampton in there. He was whining and crying because he wasn't part of none of the fishing stuff. So we finally talked him into coming down.
I never get invited to these things, Jim.
We finally talked him into coming down here and going fishing with us. So we filmed the show last.
Now he's hooked for life.
Yeah, now he's ready to come back. It's very addicting. I mean, you ever catch one? Now I can't imagine catching 140-pound fish.
Yeah. So Jim, I got a question. How long did it take you to land it?
Well, so I told people when I first got it, and people asked me, I said, "Oh man, it's probably half an hour." My son's like, "No, it wasn't that long." So we've sort of settled on 20 minutes, but you just kind of get into a different part of your mind, when you're doing that, and time sort of goes away. But it was a while.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and if you were in any kind of really deep water,
right? Because
we've taken people and we've caught them in 80 foot of water. And I'm telling you right now, by the time they get them to the boat, these people are ready to sit down.
They've earned them.
Their arms are spaghetti noodles. And
so now, did you guys film it with a cell phone or anything like that, or?
We didn't. No, I filmed my brother-in-law pulling one in, but that was the only film we did. He was kind of a smaller one.
So. Yeah.
Well, it would have been cool.
Yeah, it'd been a lot cooler if you guys did.
Yeah.
It really would have.
I tell you what, Jim, next time you catch a state record, why don't you go ahead and get your phone out and film that, or have somebody film it?
I'll do that. Yeah.
Just remember.
Just next time.
Yeah. Next time you hook a state record, just get it on film.
Or when you break this one, whatever, either way.
It'd be awesome. I hope they just keep getting, I mean, I hope Jim gets to hang on to the record for a while.
Right.
But it wouldn't hurt my feelings if maybe I broke it.
Well, as long as it stayed at Lake of the Ozarks,
right?
That's
Which I honestly think it will. I don't. Now I know there's some big fish down in like the James River and Table Rock and all that, but man, I've seen them. We've seen multiple 100-pound fish caught up in our neck of the woods. I know another guy that fishes down here, Jack O'Quinn, last week, they caught one that was almost 90. There was a couple guides last year that caught one in the mouth, and I think it was like 115 or something. I mean, it was big.
I think Anthony opening weekend caught 2 over 100.
Yeah. I mean, so guys, there's always that chance of catching 100-pound fish. I mean, any given day out there, they're there. Catching them is a different, and Jim, have you ever caught one that was tagged or banded or anything like that?
I have not. The boat, so the guy who owns the boat, Bob Moore, they caught one a few years ago. I can't remember exactly what the story was around it, but
we've kind of been on a roll the last few years. We've been catching them.
We did, and one of the coolest ones, which I caught one this year, and I haven't got the information back on it yet, but Matt caught one 2 years ago.
Yeah, I believe it was.
And it was actually tagged in Truman Lake at Tally Bend, and we caught it on the Big Niangua arm of Lake of the Ozarks. So it come through the dam. It come through Truman Dam and was all the way down there. And it did it fairly quick because it was...
Well, and kind of the amazing thing about that, so the Osage arm is 90-plus miles. So this fish had to go 60 miles down the Osage,
mm-hmm.
and then 8 miles up the Big Niangua arm where I caught it at, about 8.5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this fish traveled almost 70 miles once it went through the dam.
Yeah.
wow.
So, I mean, that was quite the journey.
Well, just to get through the dam is quite the journey, I imagine.
I would imagine. I don't want to ride through it anytime soon.
I'm good. And then to make it all the way to there, I mean, there's a lot of guys that snag it. Warsaw was considered probably the capital of Missouri for snagging paddlefish, and maybe even in the world. I mean, there's a lot of people that snag out of Warsaw, Missouri. I mean, it is a hot spot.
Yeah.
And probably because the river's so much narrower up there, the fish get concentrated more. Because like down here in our neck of the woods, it's big. I mean, there's some big water down here, and it can be tough. I mean, you can find the fish, but you run through them a couple times, and then they'll scatter out, and they can be anywhere. So, but it's kind of the challenge. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's fun to catch something a little bigger, something to pull on the line a little bit.
Right.
And you don't have to go. What I think something else about it is you don't have to have real fancy equipment. Now, when I say that, guys, I'm not saying go out there, look at somebody has a trolling rack, go nail you some boards together and stick your pole. I'm not going to say any names, but I have a friend who has tried to just patch him up a snagging rack a couple times now, and he's lost poles on both trips with it.
Yep.
These things pull very hard when you first hook them. You're going to want something, either you need to be hanging on to it or you want a good rod holder. You don't want a plastic anything. If it's plastic,
it's not going to work.
Don't do it unless it's like you got some PVC pipe bolted onto something. And I'm not trying to scare nobody away. I'm just telling you, I hate to see people losing fishing poles, and it's been happening lately because guys will just see a boat that's got rod holders and they'll go out there and whittle something out of something. You're better off, if you're going to do that, just hold on to it.
Right.
And because these things, when you first hook them, they can get wild. Plus, if you hook something on the bottom, now guys, me and Matt personally, we usually troll from 3 to 4 miles an hour for these things. So when you do hook something, you're already moving at a fairly good clip. And then the fish they're not going to just sit there. So they'll get pretty wild too. But, so you guys, Jim, you said you guys was using the divers.
we were, yeah. Yeah, we got actually, most of them are Dipsy divers, but the one we got it's called a deep diver. We got it off of some other website. And, like you said, 3 to 4 miles an hour, and looking at where you are depth wise, and you just kind of keep going around and around.
Yep. Try to stay in the river channels or close to it. Now, I understand not everybody's going to have the technology, the sonar, the graphs, and all that to do that. But try to stay in the deepest part of the lake, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
and if you can somehow muster up getting a fish finder with a map, now you can go to just about every Walmart nowadays for less than $200 and get one. I would highly recommend that. Now, if it's not in the cards for you, then like I said, try to have some kind of a depth finder and try to stay.
Or
deep.
just follow somebody around that's catching them.
There's a lot of people that do that.
I mean,
method.
just when in doubt, if they got fish hanging, follow them.
That method has come in pretty strong the past couple of years.
For a lot of folks.
We have learned that the really big live well in Matt's boat turns in pretty handy because we used to hang fish off the side of the boat.
You got a lot of friends.
You got a lot of friends quick. And now, we don't have fish hanging off the side of our boat. Matt's got a 60-gallon live well on the front of his boat. And, or is it 80?
60.
60. And you can shove, we've had quite a few in it. I think we've had up to 8 in it before, but it's all at once. But we try to keep our fish out of the water just for that reason. I mean, I'm not trying to be that,
and it's just a little bit probably easier on the fish too.
Right. We don't mind helping people out. Really don't. I've helped a ton of people. We was fishing last year, and there's these guys who, they went out and they bought them a Dipsy diver, and they bought them a pole, and they bought all this stuff, and obviously did not know anything about any of it. And these guys were great guys, but they were in a bad way because they had their transducer from their depth finder on upside down on their boat.
Yep.
They couldn't get the thing to read any depth. They never did catch any fish. They had their hooks tied on, just like you were trolling. Okay, so anybody wanting to know what a Dipsy diver is, they're a planer board type thing that are actually made for trolling deep for crankbaits, for like salmon, walleye, anything. They're made to actually put on your line and then tie another line behind them with your lure on it. Well, as paddle fishermen have took that thing and made it to where we can catch, because you can run these.
It's just a depth device for us.
Right.
So you tie your hooks and then your diver.
Yep.
These poor old boys, they had their Dipsy diver tied and then a little piece of string, and they had their hooks just kind of dangling back behind the Dipsy diver.
Yeah. And
like, wow, I don't think it's going to work, boys.
Well, they were backing in while we was pulling out, and I looked over there and I said, Matt, just let's not leave yet. I said, I got to go over there. We got to help these guys. He's like, okay, what's wrong? And I was like, they're probably not catching any fish, And we went over there and we talked with them for a while and got them all straightened out. And I don't know if they ever caught any fish or not.
Hopefully they did.
Hopefully they did. But there's a million YouTube videos out there, guys. If anybody, like I said, anybody listening, if you have questions, get with us at Ozark Traditions TV. If you want to watch, there's 100 videos out there now of how guys are doing this. But just make sure you got
Jim?
stuff pretty good.
Yeah. What was your first initial thought when your spoonbill surfaced?
I just like, honestly, it was, how are we going to get this over the side of the boat?
Yeah. Well, how, when you first seen it, did you think it was that big? I mean, I know you probably knew it was big, but did you think it was that big?
I did not think it was that big. That was the thing. I knew it was special fish, right?
Right.
But we get it, and it took all three of us to get it into the boat. But there's another boat sitting. They're not 30 feet away from us, and it was a family, some little kids on the boat. We'd actually watched them pull one out of the water earlier, the day before in the morning, and our kids were, they cheered them on and said, "Good job!" And so it's the same family, and they're just right near us, and the dad's like, "Whoa, that's a real one!" Just like,
yeah,
I knew it was something, and we get it over the side, and it stretches between the gunnels of this boat, and it was just monstrous. And I remember kind of sitting there with it, and they said we were just about done. We'd said, we're going to fish another hour, and it's getting cold and the boys need to get out of this weather. And they turn around to me and they're like, "So you want to fish some more?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
But I was sitting there, and I mean, you know, when you do something, when you get something special, and like maybe the first time you shot a buck or something, you get that kind of sad, shaky, happy, reflective mood, you know. And I'm just sitting here watching this thing kind of lift its tail up off the deck of the boat, and I'm just like, I know this is something, but it was bigger laying there than it looked in the water, and I was just like, God, I just kind of said, thank you for letting me be a part of this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's. I can only. I mean, I would like.
How long was it?
78 and half inch, total.
It was a moose.
Big.
Yeah, and so that's at 6 foot 6 inches, from all the way, and then I wrote all that down, but it was like 54 or something for from the legal eye to the fork or something like
right.
And 46 inches around, more than 46 inches around.
My goodness.
That's that's the thing about big paddlefish is they go down more than they get. A paddlefish will get really long, but to get the big fish, it's a gut, guys. If you ever see them, they're just they're just belly. I mean, they just get huge.
Now, Jim, where did you have that thing hooked at?
Well, so they got that gill flap, or they call it the orthal, whatever, and so it's through there, and then just an inch or two behind the gill, one hook, and not even all the way in.
That's usually how it goes.
I can actually see, I believe, in your picture at the butcher shop where it's hanging up on Chris's scale, where it was hooked right there behind the gill plate.
Skin hooked it.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say you was lucky, but boy, howdy.
He said, It was all skill, man. It was all skill.
He said that was just a Jesus take the wheel moment.
And
right
there.
Another
thing, guys, if you're listening, and if anybody ever wonders why we use a 14-aught hook, there's a reason for it. If that had been a little bitty hook, I imagine, Jim, you had a pretty decent size hook on.
Yeah, we had 14-aught. We got them from like a grizzly.
Yeah.
Grizzly jig or something.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I've seen a lot of guys snagging out there with smaller hooks, which they'll snag fish, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I see guys using like 8-aughts and stuff, but I would imagine if you had a single hook off of an 8-aught treble hook in that fish, it would probably just break the steel.
Or bend it.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I've had a lot of people say, you guys are going overkill with that. And I was like, man, I'm telling you, these things can get crazy, and they can get really big,
Oh, yeah. Well, we were just super impressed. We tried some new line this year, and it was a 150-pound test line, and it really performed well. You think about 140-pound fish,
exactly,
4 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that stuff was that's braided Power Pro stuff, and it was worth the money.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's another thing I would recommend.
Well, yeah, it just puts you in the Missouri State record book.
Yeah.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Anybody else that's, you guys, I would recommend using a braided line for paddlefish. I can't tell you how many fish that we've seen caught that's had monofilament and just stuff wrapped all over them. They just break it.
Yep.
The monofilament just doesn't work very well with snagging. So if you're going to do this, do your best to try to at least get a 50-pound braid on your pole. If you're going to troll, I'd recommend 80 or above. I know a lot of guys will throw off the bank and stuff like that. You could probably get away with like 50 with that, and there's a lot of different ways to do it too, guys. I mean, you don't necessarily have to have a boat to do this. If you can find,
they do it off the dam up here.
Yeah, if you can find somewhere like up the Osage River up around Warsaw. I know a lot of guys will go down below the bridge. You got to be, is that 65 bridge. Below that, you can stand. There's places down there. I know the Ore House, I think they let people go down there.
They got
and
a
snag
dock.
off the dock.
Yep.
Bagnell Dam, if you go below 54 bridge, you can snag the river down there off the bank. So there's a lot of opportunities to do it. And there's a ton of guides now that are doing it. So, there's opportunities out there to try it if anybody ever wants to try it. And I'd highly recommend it. I mean, it's something neat for the state of Missouri. We've got a neat state here. We got a lot of stuff going on. And, on this podcast, we've got to talk to a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. We've had people that's killed the first archery elk in Missouri. We've had a guy that hunted in the first black bear season here in Missouri and killed a bear. We've had people that's caught 140-pound spoonbill on here, obviously, now.
Right. It's doing it all.
This state has a lot to offer for people. We've had a guy that shot a 13-point doe, something like that. It was an antlered doe. This thing was crazy. I mean, it's just Missouri just keeps putting it out there. Just crazy stuff going on here. So, you never know.
Yeah.
The snagging thing.
I watch your show.
Oh, yep.
I watch your show on the archery program for the kids too.
Yep.
That's there's a lot of neat stuff going on.
Yep. Well, we anytime there's something that helps the outdoors or something, we usually try to jump in on it as much as we can. And we just about do everything we can. And now, I mean, we're going to go from snagging to turkey hunting to crappie fishing to whatever we end up doing this summer, bullfrogs.
Well,
and then straight into bow
this
season.
This is off the subject, but landowners can start trapping as of August 1st now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. The Missouri trapping. They changed the law because with the fur bears, which that's something.
Right.
Justin, do you know anything? I know it's kind of off the topic here, but being as you brought it up, more about that, like how that thing's gonna, like the actual rules and stuff.
I read on it. I think it's just for landowners only, starting August 1st. But we can get more in depth that later on.
Yeah, we may have to look into that because I think that's a great thing for the turkey population, and the predator control would be a great thing. Now, Jim, are you from Illinois or was it Iowa? Illinois, wasn't it?
Illinois. I live near Pittsfield, Illinois, Pike County.
Oh, so you're up there with them little bitty.
Yeah,
He's up there with the big bucks.
So you got any ground we can come hunt, buddy?
Yeah. Everything's locked up in contracts up here.
Yep, that's
Unless you know somebody.
Man.
We do.
Yeah.
Our buddy Jim Dain said we could hunt here.
Jim Dain, I just got his name right here. No, it's that up there it's a premium whitetail area. I mean it always has been.
Actually, Brown County is a little better.
I'll tell you what. I got a friend that he had his buddy's son out there. Got a 17-pointer a little while ago, and Brown County's doing real good things too.
Yeah, you get up there in that neck of the woods, and 150-inch buck is just kind of a normal.
How big's your paddlefish in Illinois?
I haven't even looked at it, but it's got to be the only paddlefish we've got are going to be in the Mississippi River, and they're a lot.
And they probably snag all them off the Missouri side, don't they? All the big ones.
They do. Yeah, and Kilcook, Iowa, they got a dam up there.
Yeah,
and so, but that's kind of where all the three corners of the states come together, and they snag them there. Clarksville Dam is where they go near where I am.
And the paddlefish they'll run for a ways too. I mean, that, like you said, the Mississippi, the Missouri, all has them. The Oklahoma, I know Grand Lake has a lot of paddlefish. Rusty Pritchard, anybody that's done anything with paddlefish has heard about him. He's caught multiple 100+ pound paddlefish out of that lake down there. They're just.
I'm going to tell you though, anybody that Googles paddlefish, like state record,
yeah,
man, this guy's all over it.
Oh yeah, Jim's face has been plastered all over all the Paddlefish pages. I mean,
all the news
you
stations.
You are famous.
He's Paddlefish famous.
He's Paddlefish famous.
It's a new thing.
Yeah, funny thing about that is Corporal Brown, when we went to do all that, he said, "Are you ready to be famous?" Before we did the paperwork, and I'm like, I'm thinking, I don't know that I want to be famous, right? And I don't really think I am. I'm Paddlefish famous, right?
Right. Right.
But I back, kind of getting back to that time of kind of reflection. I just was thinking, God, if you can use this for your glory, anyhow, go ahead and do that, and I'll just get out of the way and let you do it. So maybe something good will come out of it, other than all the good stuff that already has.
Well, you know what? Maybe it gets a kid that sitting on the couch playing video games and nothing to do in their life. Maybe it gets them up off the couch and want to go try to catch one, or somebody that's been wanting to do something with their dad and they haven't done it. Maybe they get up and try to go do something. You don't think about stuff like that having an impact like that, but it really does. You don't never know. It might just be just a little kick in the butt somebody needs to get them out and doing something.
Yeah.
Somebody that maybe hasn't never fished a day in their life sees this fish and they're like, man, I would really like to catch one of those. That's a cool looking fish. Like I've been preaching on here today. There's 100 ways of doing it, 100 different people of doing it. Get a hold of somebody. If you was to message me and Matt and say, look, me and my dad have been thinking about doing this and we've never had a chance. We live here close. I almost bet you we'd take you fishing. Yeah. Pretty good chance of it.
See if we're bluffing.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
How many people have contacted you about your story?
Oh, so as far as like news outlets and stuff?
Yeah, just people in general that,
Oh, man. Yeah. Tons every day.
I'd say there's a lot of people asking where you caught it. That's got to be like the biggest question is where you. And
they're asking where.
I'd say right in the mouth. Just go on.
Well, right there behind the gill plate. That's what he said.
Yeah,
that's where he caught it.
Right there behind the gill plate.
Well, here's the deal.
And I was using minnows.
Anybody that knows a fisherman knows if you ask him where he caught it and he tells you, it was probably the exact opposite end of the lake from where he caught that thing at. Especially a state record, But fishing. Hey, a man's fishing spot is a guy's got to have a secret. He's just it's like your morel mushroom hole. You don't even tell your grandma where you found them at because
it's over on the neighbors anyways.
Right. You just keep that a secret, and there's some things you just don't tell. Leave it like Jim. He did it right. He's like, I was up around Camden and Lori. Figure it out from there, guys. Go fishing.
Right.
And that's great. I love it. Me and Matt get asked daily. What mile marker? That is the new question.
And all right, I'm going to just let everybody on a little secret. I always say the 35.
Right.
Every day.
Yeah. And everybody's like, the 35 of what? Well, that's for you to figure out,
There you go.
And I don't think we fished at the 35 mile marker at all this year.
I don't even know where it is, but.
Right. But, it's just, hey, if you want to catch one, get a hold of me and we'll take you. But don't try to figure out where I'm at.
They will blindfold you in the boat.
Yes, we had to Bradshaw Justin when we took him out there.
Hey, at least we didn't make him ride in the live well.
Oh man, the live well. How deep are we into snagging season now?
I don't know, 3 weeks.
3 weeks, and I promise you, Matt's boat is getting ripe.
It's got an odor to it in the shop.
We've boated over probably 70 fish on it, and it's starting to smell pretty rough. We've only caught about 40 something keepers, but we've caught a lot of. Now, Jim, did you guys catch any short fish? That's something else I want to.
We did, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of been going around this year.
So
I
would say probably, TJ and I usually we catch a couple hundred fish every year. Probably 2 years ago we caught 3 short fish
the entire year, and this year I think. I don't know how many.
I believe opening day we boated 15 fish. Yeah. Had 6 keepers.
Yeah. To
kind of put those numbers into perspective for people.
Right. Which is, it's not a bad thing. It's really not, because those are younger fish, and 80% of them will probably live. Some of them are so small that, when you hook them like that, guys, it's just, what do? I mean, you do your best to try to keep them alive, but
we try to get them back in the water as quick as we can, but some of them don't make it.
Right. I mean, that's going to happen. But seeing the younger fish is a good thing, obviously. But it's almost making me wonder, too, like...
Have we caught the larger fish? Have we caught too many of them, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. And maybe the fish just aren't running yet this year, because me and Matt actually took some people out last night, and the water was still in the 40-degree range. And
yeah, that was up around the 35, I believe.
That's pretty cold.
Right. And, and usually it's 50-plus by now. We're starting to get into the mid-50 range, because usually the crappie... first part of April, mid-April, our crappie are thinking about spawning here. And this year, I mean, unless it's supposed to spit snow tomorrow, so unless something happens around here and it starts warming up pretty quick, I think everything's kind of going to be behind a little bit. Now, word on the street is the turkeys are gobbling. I've got sources. I got eyes and ears all over Camden County.
Yeah.
Multiple sources.
Where are they gobbling at? Because I ain't heard one.
In the tree, I guess. I don't know.
35-mile marker, Hampton.
Yeah, 35 mile.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
But they said that they've been hearing turkeys gobble, so that's next, boys. That's next. So, Jim, do you do any other thing? Do you do any hunting at all, or are you just a fisherman? Or
No, I do some hunting and some, doves and deer. I don't get to do it as often as I like to. I actually had I used to be a propane delivery guy too,
Mm-hmm.
and propane and deer season just don't really.
No.
They're the same, and so you don't get to do it as often as you'd like to. But yeah, I got a few deer stories.
Yeah. Well, we may have to.
They're probably like everybody else's though.
Yeah, pretty breezy.
Yeah.
I know some of these stories. You got to wear your hat, like pull her down tight, because it can get pretty breezy in here.
That's right.
Well, I tell you what, Jim, enjoy the fame and glory of the new Missouri state record paddlefish. You definitely got me and Matt Miller peanut butter and jealous. So, soak it up, man. And hopefully, like you said, something really good comes out of it.
Yeah, I hope some kid or even a guy who's just not doing anything wants to go out and do it.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm just glad Bob. It helps to have somebody who's done it a lot more, and that Bob Moore, he sure helped us too. So
yeah, well, and that's the thing, guys. Like I said, if you've never done it, find somebody that has, or talk to somebody that has, and they can point you the right direction. Just go from there. Don't be scared of trying something new, because you may accidentally mess up and like it.
That's right.
But
that's right.
All right, Jim.
You get hooked easy.
Well, we'll let you go, but thanks for coming on with us tonight. I really enjoyed hearing your story and getting to talk about that big old fish.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Well, it was a big one.
Pretty big. The biggest, they say.
The biggest in the state of Missouri.
143. That's what we're going with officially.
I see
here at OTTV, because I'm going to say like this, Chris's scale wasn't lying.
Couldn't have. I mean, I don't know.
I'm just saying.
Somebody needs to have a chat with the old Tom Slaughterhouse and see what's going on out there. Because if she'd have been 143, boys, that'd have been one that probably wouldn't get beat.
Just saying.
There's a 200
hey, but
pounder.
You know what I learned?
There's a 200 pounder lurking out there somewhere.
You know what I learned on that deal? If you think you catch a big and keep her wet.
Yeah. Filling the live well up with water. We're taking her all the way to the scales with the water.
That's right.
Just like the crappie masters, boys. When they jerk them out of that bucket, them things are slimy and
dripping wet.
Fast as you can get them weighed. All right. Well, Justin, you got anything you want to add?
No. We got a special guest next week, but we are not going to announce it yet.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun.
This is suspense.
He is.
Don't say it.
Oh, he or she. We don't know.
It's a he.
No.
I'll give you this.
It's a he.
I will give you this. Me and Matt Smith probably the only people that know about it.
Okay.
I bet I know.
So I'm giving you.
I don't know.
Yeah, you probably do. If you've seen the text,
Maybe.
We are all in the same group text, you know.
Yeah.
Dang it, I should have just guessed it. He'd be like, man, he's a genius.
Yeah, he forgot about that, didn't he? Well, guys, be watching here soon. We're going to have the first part. Let us know what you guys think about the web series, too. We're we're just breaking the videos down in short videos, so you're not sitting there for an hour trying to watch this stuff, but we're going to break it up. We got Matt, we got a little taste of it tonight. Got to watch a little preview of the paddlefish thing. I think you guys will really like it. If you watch close on one of the episodes, you might see Justin almost fall out of the boat.
Is it on there?
I don't know.
It might be.
You just have to watch and see.
It's a surprise, Hampton.
Just like as surprised as you were, you know.
Yeah.
But we caught some fish. We're gonna have all kinds of cool stuff on there, guys. So let us know what you guys think about the web series. I mean, I really enjoy it. I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So
well, it's something quick. You can watch it on your lunch break or whatever.
right, and that's the point behind what we're trying to do there. You know, obviously, if we wanted to, we can make it a half-hour long video. But
I'll be honest with you, it's going good because I've got calls on it from people that past guests that's watched it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is so much better," because they can watch it on their lunch break or
I think so too.
whatever.
Well, Matt's
they're
video
really
already
liking it.
had almost 70 views on it, and it hadn't been out there very long. So
Yeah. Well, I got a call on it before it even. As soon as it hit, somebody called me and wanted to know the story. I was like, "You're just gonna have to watch it because I don't know."
And that's another angle we got. Matt Smith likes to leave you a little cliffhanger where you got to tune in next.
Yeah, you better watch part 2.
All right, my father-in-law even. He's like, I watched your first video, and he said, man, he's like, it was the hens come up there, and it was real cool. He said, I thought you guys was going to get, and then it just quit. I said, well, you got to be watching for that next one. And he watched the next one. He's like, that, that's pretty neat, because I was kind of looking forward to wanting to. I said, it's weird how that works. So
Yeah. Keep you coming back for more.
that's right. We just give you a little taste at a time. But anyways, all right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap her up. Once again, Jim, thanks for coming on here with us.
The now paddlefish famous Jim Dain.
He's got the new Missouri state record, guys. Let's see if we can all get out there.
We'll have him on again next year when he beats his record.
Yeah. Or when we beat the record. I'm still calling him back.
Right.
I don't know. We'll keep trying. I can promise you that. I mean, me and Matt's trying to catch every spoonbill in this lake.
All of them.
They say, how many you want to catch? We just say all of them. So, I don't know. But all right, guys. Well, once again, thanks for listening, and be watching out and tuning for us. And tune in next week.
The Ozark Traditions TV podcast crew would appreciate it if you leave a 5-star rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps so you don't miss an episode. And also, be sure to check out our hunting episodes on our YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe. While you're on the web, head on over to our Facebook page and click on the follow and like button to see what the Ozark Traditions TV crew is up to. Ozark Traditions TV would like to thank you for joining in to this week's podcast. Be sure to tune in on our next weekly podcast as we bring the outdoors inside. From all of us at Ozark Traditions TV, we thank you for listening. And remember, if you see us out in God's country, stop us. We'd like to meet you.